Right, so thanks so much everybody for coming along. My name is Steve Scannell. I'm the recruitment partner for Beca, and I'm here joined today with Hayden Grant Usher, Emily Hinton and Chris Flynn. And we're going to talk to you this evening for about 20 minutes about Engineers Without Borders. So if we do start off by doing a quick introduction for everybody. So start with yourself, Hayden. Just tell us about yourself, what you do, and how long you've been with Beca and your involvement with Engineers Without Borders.
So I started with Beca about 4 years ago. So right now I'm a systems engineer working on the Wellington Smart Motorway. I originally joined as a mechanical engineer. I started about 4.5 years ago. So I did a project for them looking at their risk management systems. Not the most fanciest thing that EWB's ever done, but I looked at the risk management systems, and now I look after the corporate partnerships for Beca. So in particular, I've been getting Beca to sponsor EWB for the last 4 years pretty much. Yeah.
So I started with Beca in February last year as a graduate in the building services team. So I started as a mechanical engineer, really enjoying it so far. And I am currently the Wellington president for Engineers Without Borders. I started off with Engineers Without Borders in 2014 as the in-schools manager at the University of Canterbury. So that's pretty much my role for Engineers Without Borders.
Yeah, hi, I'm Chris. I have been with Beca for about 5.5 years. I manage our structural drafting team, and I've been dealing with Engineers Without Borders for the last couple of years. And yeah, so I've contributed by being able to spend some of my time doing what I love and what I do every day, and being able to offer that as a service to Engineers Without Borders.
Fantastic. So next up, if I could just ask, so what's the purpose of Engineers Without Borders?
Okay, so I suppose this one's me. So EWB does humanitarian engineering in New Zealand and the South Pacific. And what's different about EWB than other NGOs is probably two things, I think. Firstly, EWB tries to build partnerships with communities as opposed to just delivering a project such as a water supply project and then more or less walking away. So that way we've got an ongoing involvement with the community and can actually help them, I guess, maintain it, look after it, teach them how to use it. And so we try to actually have more of a lasting impact. And the other thing that I think is great about EWB is that rather than NGOs such as Oxfam and World Vision, I can actually contribute my engineering and business skills to EWB. Whereas if I was volunteering for Oxfam or something like that, I'd probably end up fundraising, which I know I'm probably not as keen on. So actually being able to apply my skills is quite cool. Yeah. But overall, the purpose of EWB is really just to improve the lives of particularly people in the South Pacific. So providing clean water and teaching about sanitation and hygiene, and yeah, that's
Thanks, Hayden. And so next up, and this can be answered by anyone, so why and how did you become involved in EWB?
Well, look, I'll have a go at that one. Yeah, look, I got involved because Beca put out an ad to say that they need someone to do some drafting. More than happy to have offered my time outside of work, which I now believe has changed to be Beca are now sponsoring some time of its staff to be able to do that effort, which is great. And I got involved just purely from someone volunteering and asking for a volunteer.
So Beca supports that work?
Yeah, so now that it's slightly changed from when I first got involved, Beca now enables their staff members to put time down to that work during work hours. Obviously, all agreed and everything like that with the business itself in terms of how busy they are. Yeah, I think it's a great way of Beca to get in behind great programming.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. So have any of you been involved in any interesting projects through EWB that you could talk about?
Well, our stuff's quite internal focused, mainly. So Chris is probably the one right now who's working on something interesting. So
Yeah, so in the Pacific, there's a couple of islands that I had explained to me that some of the people within the village would walk 2 hours a day to get water. That's fresh water for cleaning, for drinking, etc., cooking. And we're looking at putting a couple of, well, be simplistic about it, a couple of tin shed roofs in the bush that feed into a gutter and into a tank, and then enable the pipework to the villages with a tap in the middle of the village. So that walk is a whole lot less, and obviously some of the rivers will dry up during the summer months, and so therefore they're able to manage their water supply themselves as well. So a bit of sustainability there. Also just a great feel-good thing to be able to supply people with water. I mean, we take it for granted every day, but these guys, that's a base thing that we try and supply them.
Yeah, so that project's quite a good one. It's probably been running for about 2 years now, and Rotary are providing the funding while EWB are trying to provide that engineering expertise that the local community and Rotary don't have. So Chris is helping out with the drafting of the drawings that the construction crew and the engineers will use on site. Then there's other consultancy and engineers who are providing structural engineering that is input into those drawings, and then Engineers Without Borders have set up volunteers to travel over. So the third volunteer is about to go over, and they've those three have probably spent 6 months to a year each over there working on the project. And that's just about working with the community so that we're not just building like you said, a structure to capture rainwater. It's about also teaching them how to use that water efficiently and be clean with it. And so quite a good project.
You touched on the fact that people were going over there and getting time in the locations. Part of one of the drivers for me was actually I didn't need to go to that location to be able to do that. So it was actually quite a benefit to me that I could just continue doing the work I'm doing each day in the place where I am and still offer some assistance to somebody somewhere else.
Yeah. And how often are overseas opportunities available?
With Engineers Without Borders, not as often as I'd like. So EWB is still quite small, and you're probably looking at 2 to 4 placements a year. And that's just a factor of how large we are and how many projects and partnerships we have. If you're people who travel often do it through other NGOs such as BSA, Volunteer Services Abroad. EWB only about 2 to 4. It's not huge.
So you mentioned Beca promotes the work and also allows you to put time in your timesheets for the work. Is there any other ways that they support EWB?
Yeah, so that's grown quite a bit over the last few years. So it started off as Beca sponsoring the conference and a couple of events here and there. About mid last year, Beca came on board as a EWB partner, and they committed sponsorship for a couple of events, and probably most importantly to EWB, 50 hours of pro bono time. And that pro bono time right now is being used by the likes of Chris and someone else in his team to draft those drawings. So originally, Chris used his own volunteer time, which was amazing, but it's even better now that he can do it within his work time and not have to do that after hours. And we're hoping that it'll go from being drafting time to more engineering input, so more technical stuff, but that'll progress as we get further down the line. And it'll be interesting to see what we can partner with Beca for the next year. Hopefully we'll come up with something bigger and better for July. So, yeah.
Fantastic.
Actually, I might just explain.
Go ahead.
And then that's the overall partnership, but Beca at one stage did also give to EWB volunteers time out of there. Well, it was about an hour a week to put towards EWB, so that was covered by Beca, and that was quite cool. And just generally, they let us just do EWB stuff during the day and make up that time. So if we've got meetings or catch-ups we want to have, we can go and do that. And so it's quite handy being flexible like that.
We also use the graduate pool at in Wellington last year to help out with the in schools program for EWB. So we trained up maybe 10 graduates within the Wellington team to go and visit schools and teach them about engineers without borders and humanitarian engineering.
Fantastic. Thanks for that. And so what do you feel you get out of Engineers Without Borders personally?
So for me, I just can't help it. There's an element of, I guess, of I think you need to do something to contribute. And for me, I could give money or something like that, but it's just not the same as putting in my own time. So for me, there's a bit of satisfaction there, and I guess contributing to the greater good. It sounds really bad when I say it like that, but yeah, no, I just think it's worthwhile to help, and it makes me feel like a better person by doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's a great time, great people, networking opportunities, fantastic. There you guys.
I think it's a great organisation. I wouldn't put the amount of time I put in to something if I didn't believe in it, and the work that they're doing is really awesome. Also, the people that are part of EWB have a certain mindset which is really awesome, and they're really motivated people, and it's just a really great community to be part of. And also, I guess personally, it is a really good career development pathway as well. There's lots of stuff that I've been able to do throughout Engineers Without Borders that I wouldn't be able to do in my career until I was 5-10 years in, like leading groups. Last year I went on a leadership workshop to run through EWB with some external partners to teach you some leadership skills. I guess that's not something that you focus on so much as a first year graduate, but it gives me great skills that aren't just technical, which help with consulting and work with people in general.
And I suppose my biggest one is just being able to use my technical skills in a space that isn't necessarily just purely about business and making money. It's actually about giving something back. And I've had a few years to learn my craft, and to be able to offer that back, to the community is great. Just a great opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. And for EWB to be a success in the future, what do you think they need to do?
I think, how big is the rooms? I think right now EWB is made up mainly of volunteers, so no one gets paid, which on one hand is fantastic because a lot of the fundraising, most of the fundraising that comes into EWB is actually put towards NAPA. The issue there though is that you need some people to put a lot of time into EWB so that they can run everything. And I think we really need to get to the point of having some paid staff to actually push things forward, to run more programs and to expand. I think right now we've got a bit of a crunch where we just need some amazing people to put in quite a bit of time and invest in the organisation. So I think, personally, I think that's the biggest hurdle. So hopefully we can grow on the Beca partnership and with other corporates and sort of make that happen. Thanks, Steve.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely. And what would a typical time commitment be on a weekly basis, would you say?
I suppose it depends on my role, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, my time commitment probably would have been in the height of the project that I was dealing with there. I might have spent 8 hours every week, but at the moment, I'm spending half an hour every couple of weeks to make sure that one of my team members there understands exactly the intent that we had at the start of the project and follows through to the end. So it varies hugely depending on where you are within a project, but also your role within a project, I suppose, and your role within the everyday.
I think for me, I varied from, say, 2 hours a week to 5 hours per week when I took on too much stuff. And then there was a time where for about 3 months I just didn't put in anything. So that is handy that it is flexible like that. EWB doesn't need to be your number one priority. Some people, like our CEO, only works 4 days a week and puts in about 16 hours. So that's 8 hours of work time that she could have spent working, and then 8 hours of her own time on top of that as well. I think there's a few people on the team that do that sort of commitment?
I would say I would put in approximately 5 hours a week. Sometimes it can vary up to crunch times, maybe 12 hours a week, but can go down to I can take a week off there and there and not do anything. So, but that is probably, apart from most senior people, we wouldn't always expect commitment.
That's at the higher end. Like out of the Wellington committee, you're probably only averaging 1 to 2 hours a week if you take out Emily. But Emily's really committed in doing heaps of stuff. So no, I mean I only do about 2 or 3 these days.
Okay, so it's not a huge time commitment. No. Yeah. Fantastic stuff. Okay, so just lastly before we
Here we go, what do we got to lose? You know, especially the big stuff, obviously, but others as well. Hey, look, if you want to give it a go and find out what it's about, and then you just get involved.
I think if this sort of stuff rings true with you, then it's a really good thing to get involved in, and you get out what you put in. I think that's the biggest thing. So if you're keen to get involved, I think it's an awesome thing to do. But it's definitely not something that you can just sign up for and put in your CV and forget about it. So we like commitment.
I think if you're interested but not involved, just turn up to one of the committee meetings, or some areas have drinks or that sort of thing. But it doesn't take much to sort of have a look and see if you're keen or not. You don't need to sign up 10 hours a week just off the bat. Like, just turning up every now and then or helping out with the odd event is heaps. Just do what you're comfortable with and what you have available. Well, not everything you've got available.
No, fantastic. And if someone wanted to find out more information,
if we're
Our
talking,
website is a great place to look.
yes, if you're students, which I think most of you guys are, then probably the Canterbury or Auckland students chapter. Have a chat to them. Likewise, the website, and if you're outside of those areas, probably the website again.
We've also got a Palmerston North chapter, so if there's any messy people listening.
Fantastic. And what's the website?
www.ewb.org.nz.
Cool. Thanks. Hi everyone. So we lost you there. We're just going to open up to any questions that we have now. So we'll give a couple of minutes for anybody to ask any questions, and then if not, we'll leave you to your evenings.
No questions.
Well, it doesn't look like we've got any questions today, but thanks very much for joining us, everybody. If you'd like more information, obviously you can go to the Engineers Without Borders website, or for more information about the Beca Graduate Programme, we can go to grads.beca.com. Our next webinar is live on Thursday, this Thursday 24th from 12 till 1, where we'll be talking to